Hey guys, it's Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I am doing a very special video today. Not really because any of the content in it is super special, but because as of the 17th of December, I am a college graduate. I have finished college, I have walked, I have earned my bachelor's degree, and it has been an incredibly long journey for me personally. It kind of didn't seem like it was even going to happen at one point. And so it's been a long journey for me, and to know that I'm finally here and that it's done and that I am like an adult and society holds me completely responsible, it's just crazy. And I could make a whole video just talking about what college has been for me and the ups and downs of it, the things I've been through, and it's been crazy. So anyway, it's kind of actually interesting too because I'm actually wearing a shirt from my trip to Australia that I took the summer before I entered high school, so it's weird to be in this t-shirt that I literally wore, 8 years ago, and that's crazy to think that I'm done. I'm done. And so to honor the completion of my college undergraduate years, I'm going to do the college life book tag, I think is what it's called, or the college book tag. I'm not really sure who it was created by. I kind of just googled college book tag to see what I would get, and I really like these questions, and I thought that there were definitely some books that I could figure out to go with them. And so these are meant to be, I guess, when you're going into college, but I'm going to use them to reflect on my 3.5 years in college. The first question is, many kids love to move far away in order to go to college, so it's to pick a book that takes place in an exotic or foreign location. And for that, I'm going to go with Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Da Xijie. And basically this takes place in China during Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution, and it's about this boy who gets sent to a re-education camp. And he basically reads a bunch of banned books, and he falls in love with a girl, and there's a whole bunch that kind of happens in it, but it talks a lot about the Cultural Revolution, obviously, and the effect it had on youths at the time. And it's a very, very short read. I read it when I was in high school, and it's a really good read if you're just kind of looking on something, if you're looking to pick up something on the topic. Also, I didn't move too far away when I went to college. My parents live about 4.5 hours away. I'm still in the same state. I live in Alabama. I go to the University of Alabama, Birmingham. My parents are from 4.5 hours south of me, so it's still super manageable to go home whenever I want, but it's definitely far enough away that I felt like I could spread my wings a little bit. So the next one is, you're moving into the dorms at your new college. What fictional living arrangement would you like to be in? And this one was pretty easy for me because without a doubt my favorite fictional living arrangement would be to go to Hogwarts and to live in the separate housing communities. Yeah, I would love to live with the Hufflepuffs. We'd all be super generous and nice to each other, and when we wanted to eat our meals, we would go down to the Great Hall, and just getting to walk around the beautiful grounds at Hogwarts and to see it covered in snow, and it would be the ideal living arrangements, especially while going to school. And as far as living on a dorm goes, I lived on a dorm 2 years, and I have mixed feelings about both. I definitely had a couple of roommate issues both years where my style of cleanliness maybe didn't mesh with the people I lived with, but it was never bad enough for me that I hated one of my roommates so much that I couldn't do it anymore. That came afterwards when I lived in an apartment, but as far as living in a dorm goes, no, I mean, I had a pretty decent dorm life both 2 years I lived on campus. The next question is, college can be a really huge transition, and it's to name a character who undergoes a massive transition. And I'm gonna go with pretty much any of the characters from the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I think all of them undergo some pretty heavy physical and emotional and, mature transitions. Cinder, for example, I find her character growth throughout the series is one of my favorites. I love watching her go from this unaware, hesitant, shy person who is constantly, taking the abuse that comes to her to basically being a queen, and I really loved her character transition. It's It's awesome. And definitely too, I would definitely say I underwent a transition. Arguably for better or for worse. There are definitely parts of my personality now that are negative as opposed to what they were. I'm a lot more passive now, and I'm working on just not letting myself be so passive that I let people take advantage of me, which is something I've grown to be really bad about. But you do undergo a change in college, much more than I think in any of the previous years before, because it's kind of the first time that you're on your own. It's the first time where you don't have this little bubble dictating everything for you. You know, you don't have, you know, teachers picking out classes for you, or, you know, the education system choosing the curriculum for you, and you don't have just these same people to be your friends throughout 4 years of high school. You know, you have such a bigger pond to choose from, and so I think everybody definitely undergoes a transition through college. Number 4, college books can be pretty expensive, so the question is, name a book that you think was kind of expensive, but in the end you're glad you bought it. And this one I have to give to the Hamilton, or Hamilton the Revolution, obviously, by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jeremy McCarter. And this talks all about the musical Hamilton and Lin-Manuel Miranda and where he got his inspiration and his thoughts when he was writing a lot of the music in it, and just the members of the crew and the cast who kind of helped to bring the Broadway production to life. And this actually retails at $40. I bought it on Amazon for $25, so I can't say I bought too much out of what I regularly pay, but $25 is still pretty pricey because I mostly read YA, so most of the books I buy are $10 to $20, so even spending, you know, 27 bucks on a book was pretty expensive. But yeah, I mean, it retails for $40, so it's pretty expensive. The college books. I learned after my second year I stopped buying textbooks for all of my classes, because a lot of times teachers are required to require a textbook, and then they don't end up using it. And so for a lot of my classes I find that I could save a lot of money by just staying on top of looking up stuff on the internet, which sounds terrible, but there is a lot of really great scholarly sources out there. I mean, the internet's not all shit. So with the exception of the language classes I took, the Spanish, the Chinese, the Japanese classes, and a few of my other classes, I pretty much either cheaply rented from like Chegg all of my textbooks, or I just didn't buy them because I just didn't want to spend the money on them. So college is a place for learning. Name a book that you feel you learned a lot while reading. I guess this question is supposed to be fictional books, but I don't really feel like I learn anything from fictional books, as far as like I learn about the world and like the life lessons or whatever, but I don't really feel like it's new information. So I did pick a nonfiction book that I actually read for one of my classes that I took, my Modern Slavery and Human Trafficking class, and that was Disposable People, New Slavery in the Global Economy by Kevin Bales. And this book is not that long, but it basically talks about the many different forms of modern slavery and human trafficking that occur throughout the world, in Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, Latin America. I mean, it talks about everywhere. And he wrote another book that's all about modern slavery here in the United States, which I've also read for my class. But I actually did bought and keep these because I didn't get a chance to really go through them and absorb everything, because we kind of jumped around a lot for the class. So I kept these to actually go back and read and learn, and this is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. And I think that Kevin Bales does an absolutely amazing job at presenting the topic in a very serious and respectable way. And he has so much information in these books about the different aspects of modern slavery and human trafficking, and it's a great read if you're looking to educate yourself a little bit more about that topic. Kevin Bales is considered a leader in that field, so I definitely learned so much reading this book. Number 6, college consists of a lot of core classes that you're required to take, so it's name one book that you felt you had to read for whatever reason. And for that, I am going to go with the Raven Cycle Quartet, obviously by Maggie Stiefvater. I read this book at the beginning of 2016, and there was kind of two primary reasons that I really wanted to pick it up. The first was that I was actually going to be seeing Maggie Stiefvater at a bookish convention in March of that year, and so I was like, well, I want to at least have some of the books read so that I can get them signed when I meet her. The other is obviously the conclusion to the series was coming out in April, so I was like, well, if I'm going to read them anyway, that way I will be prepared to pick up The Raven King when it comes out. And I read these, flew through them super fast. I loved them. All of them got 4 stars or above for me. Though I am hesitant now with that rating, but that's a whole nother topic video. But yeah, so I felt like I needed to pick these up because I was seeing Maggie Stiefvater and the final book was coming out and I wanted to be caught up. And I am so happy I did because I love the Raven Cycle fandom. You guys are just amazing. Oh, core classes. Core classes, choosing my core classes was the easiest part for me, as far as picking classes go. And I had some awesome core classes. My 2 history that I took were American history, basically from Puritans to the Civil War, and then from Reconstruction to present, were the 2 different classes I took, and I loved both of them. Both of them were taught by awesome professors that I really, really enjoyed. Luckily enough, because I did International Baccalaureate in high school, I did get to skip out on a few of my core classes, so that was pretty nice, but because I have an interdisciplinary major, core classes were easy because they were like, pick from these topics, whereas when I got into my later years, it was like, I can choose from like 30 different, you know, disciplinaries, and then they like wouldn't offer classes that I was interested in, so my core classes were actually probably the best classes I took, purely because they were pretty stress-free. And the last question, question number 7, is college is a lot of work, but it's overall a rewarding experience, and so it's to pick a book that was hard to get through, but you're glad you'd read it. And I have not actually particularly read this book in the series, but I'm gonna kind of go with the series as a whole, so I'm just holding up the most recent book, and that is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. It's no surprise that all of these books are pretty big. I mean, especially this one and the 2 before it. They're all pretty big, and they can definitely get slow at times, especially like with Airfire and Queen of Shadows. There's a lot about the characters, not much going on plot-wise, so these are kind of hard to get through, especially because as you're reading the series more and more, things are happening and you're like, am I okay with these things? Do I like these things? Do these things make me want to punch a wall? And those are all frustrating barriers to reading, but ultimately I have enjoyed every single book in this series. I haven't read Empire of Storms yet, but to be honest, I'm sure I'll enjoy it because I've enjoyed the others, and I'm just so invested at this point that I'm very eager to see where it goes. Alright guys, so that was the college book tag. Like I said, I could film a whole video just about my college experiences, and if you guys would be interested in that, I can definitely do that. But you guys should let me know down below maybe any of the answers to these questions, or maybe a book that you felt you learned a lot from while reading, or if you just have any questions about my personal college experience, I would be absolutely happy to answer them. But I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!